Girls, it's Mrs. Littlefield, and I'm excited to come to you today to read one of my favorite stories to read aloud. This one is called Bubba the Cowboy Prince, A Fractured Texas Tale. It's written by Helen Kettleman, and it's illustrated by James Warhola. And one of the things I love best about this story is that it's really a Cinderella story. I don't know if you know it, but we all know the classic traditional Cinderella story. There are many different Cinderella stories with different characters. There's a Native American Cinderella, there's an African Cinderella, and a Korean Cinderella. And this is one where the main character ends up being not a girl, but a boy. So I thought this was kind of a fun take. The other thing I love about this book is that it's from, it's written in the South. It takes place in Texas. And I just love to do a thick Southern accent. Being from Georgia, I always think that's really fun. Also, this is written or published, by Scholastic Press, and I would like to send out a huge thank you to Scholastic for allowing teachers to be able to do read-alouds while we're doing online learning. So I really do appreciate that. So here are the main characters. You have the wicked stepdaddy, you have Bubba, you have Dwayne, and you have Milton. Look at Dwayne and Milton and the stepdaddy. Don't they look mean? They look mean. Once, a strapping young fella named Bubba lived on a ranch with his wicked stepdaddy and his hateful and lazy stepbrothers, Dwayne and Milton. Bubba's stepdaddy spoiled Dwayne and Milton no end, but Bubba worked from sunup to sundown doing the chores of 3 ranch hands. Bubba never complained though, because he loved ranching. Look at them hanging out at the fence while he's breaking in a horse. It's hard work. Dwayne and Milton spent their days sitting on horseback, bossing Bubba around. "Get them doggies along there, Bubba," ordered Dwayne. "Yeah, and watch out for them cow patties," added Milton. "You know how Daddy hates for you to track up the house." Oh my gosh, look at poor Bubba. He's trying to wrangle this cow while they're telling him what to do. They're not helping at all, are they? Now, Miss Lurleen, who lived down the road a piece, was the purtiest and richest gal in the county. She owned the biggest spread west of the Brazos, and she loved ranching too. But it was lonesome work, and after a while, she decided it was time for some companionship. "I aim to find myself a feller," she said, "one who loves ranching as much as I do. It wouldn't hurt if he's cute as a cow's ear neither." Miss Lurleen decided to throw a ball, so she sent invitations to all the ranchers in Texas. Does this sound a little familiar to you? Does it sound a little bit like Cinderella? Look, there's Miss Lurleen, ready to have her ball. Soon, the day of the ball arrived. Milton and Dwayne spent all day getting gussied up in their finest duds. Bubba about ran himself ragged waiting on them. "Bubba!" shouted Dwayne. "Fetch me my bolo tie." "Bubba!" shouted Milton. "Get my boots polished." "Bubba!" shouted his wicked stepdaddy. "Brush them horses and wash that wagon." They are so mean. They're not even doing anything to help. By the time Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy were ready to go, Bubba was exhausted. Still, as they climbed into the wagon, Bubba asked, "Can't you wait for me to get ready? I want to dance with Miss Lurleen too." Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy hooted and hollered. "Why, you're sorrier than a steer in a stockyard," said Dwayne. "Can you imagine Miss Lurleen dancing with the likes of you?" said Milton. "Miss Lurleen wouldn't even wipe the dirt clods off her boots with that raggedy shirt of yours, and you smell more like the cattle than the cattle do." Oh my gosh, look, even the horse is laughing. Poor old Bubba. That is mean. Bubba took a look at himself. It was true. He didn't have a decent shirt to wear. His boots were downright disgraceful, and he did smell a bit rough. Milton and Dwayne were right. Miss Lurlane wouldn't dance with the likes of him. Bubba hung his head. He felt lower than a rattlesnake in a gully. Milton and Dwayne and their wicked daddy went on off to the ball. Bubba mounted his horse and headed for the pasture to check on the herd. The sky was getting darker than a black bull at midnight. It looked like a Texas thunderstorm were brewing. Do y'all see what's happening here in the clouds? Oh, he doesn't notice it yet. Bubba had just arrived at the cow pasture when a bolt of lightning struck, knocking him off his horse. Bubba was stunned for a moment, but when he picked himself up, he heard a voice. "Go to the ball, Bubba," said the voice. Bubba looked around. No one was there except him and the cows. I wonder who said that. Who do you think it might be? Now, Bubba figured he bunked the bejeebers out of his being because the voice was coming from a cow. She chewed her cud for a moment, then said, "I'm your fairy god cow, and I can help you go to the ball." Bubba sat up, rubbing his head. "I'd like to go to the ball, Miss God Cow, but shoot, I don't have a thing to wear." The fairy god cow swished her tail, and Bubba's raggedy clothes changed into the handsomest cowboy duds he'd ever laid eyes on. His jeans were crisp. His boots were shiny, his shirt was dazzling, and his Stetson was whiter than a new salt lick. "Why, I look downright purty," said Bubba. A Stetson is a type of hat. That's a Stetson hat. Look how pretty he looks. Oh, I wonder who's gonna help him get to the ball. Let's see, in Cinderella, they had the mice that became things. Let's see what happens here. The fairy god cow swished her tail again, and a nearby steer turned into the most beautiful white stallion Bubba had ever seen. "Now you go on off to the ball, Bubba, and have a good time dancing with Miss Lurlane, but you best be home by midnight, because that's when the magic runs out." "Yahoo!" shouted Bubba as he jumped on the white horse and galloped on off to the ball. Look at how good looking he looks. Nice. Look, the dog is happy. Look at the steer turning into the beautiful horse. Oh, that kind of reminds me of Shrek. Remember when Donkey and Shrek turned into a beautiful stallion? When Bubba arrived, the hoedown was in full swing. But every time Miss Lurlane finished a dance, she yawned. "There goes another $10 Stetson on a 5-cent head," she complained. "Where are all the real cowboys?" By the time it was Bubba's turn to dance with Miss Lurlane, it was almost midnight. As soon as she saw Bubba, Miss Lurlane's eyes lit up. "Why, you're as cute as a cow's ear," she said. Bubba blushed and then took Miss Lurlane in his arms and started dancing. Ooh, look at Dwayne and Milton over here on the side. They do not look happy. They look a little jealous. Dwayne and Milton turned purple with jealousy. "Who is that dude?" said Dwayne. "I don't recollect seeing him before, but he looks a mite bit familiar." "Do something," said their wicked daddy. "That cowboy is winning Miss Lurlane's heart." Oh my gosh, I have never noticed this. Look, even the dogs are dancing. That's so funny. Uh-oh. As it turned out, Milton and Dwayne didn't have to do a thing because Bubba and Miss Lurlane were right in the middle of do-si-doing when the clock struck midnight. Suddenly, Bubba's fine duds turned into dirty rags. The dirty rags he usually wore around the ranch. He looked sorry and he smelled even worse. Ooh. "What is that awful smell?" said Milton. "Why, it's Bubba!" shouted Dwayne. Bubba turned 14 shades of red, apologized to Miss Lurlane, and ran out of the room. "Wait!" she yelled, chasing after him. Think about what happens in Cinderella now. What usually happens when Cinderella leaves and the prince is chasing after her? Did you guess that? But Bubba didn't wait. He jumped onto his cow and he lumbered off into the night in a ruckus. He lost one of his dirty cowboy boots. Miss Lorraine clasped it in her arms. "This is the boot of a real cowboy and the man I want to marry. I aim to find him." Miss Lorraine went back inside, and though she asked everybody at the ball, nobody knew who the mysterious cowboy was. Nobody except Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy, but they weren't telling anybody. The next day, Miss Lorraine went from ranch to ranch looking for the cowboy who owned the boot. When she came to Dwayne and Milton's ranch, both brothers tried the boot on, but it didn't fit. Miss Lorraine had just climbed up on her horse to leave when Bubba rode up. He was dirty and sweaty and smelly from working with the cows, and he was only wearing one boot. That's pretty telling. Look, you see his one boot? That's funny. They're trying on. Miss Lorraine jumped off her horse and ran over to Bubba. "Try this on," she cried. Bubba took his dirty old boot and he pulled it on. "Much obliged, ma'am," he said, blushing. It fit perfectly. "You're my prince and cowboy boots," shouted Miss Lorraine. "I recognize that smell anywhere. Marry me, cowboy, and help me work my ranch." Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy threw chicken fits. I've always loved this picture. Look at them. Okay, so the boot fits, and then look at them throwing chicken fits. That is really funny. I thought the illustrator did a really good job in this story too. But Bubba just smiled, and he and Miss Lorraine rode on off into the sunset. They lived happily ever after, roping, cowpoking, and get them doggies along. Ta-da! Isn't that the cutest story? I love that one. Bubba the Cowboy Prince, a fractured Texas tale, written by Helen, Kettleman. I hope you enjoyed it.